Yo, my experience in my first adventure race. I did the X Adventures race in Dunsbury yesterday, the short course version. I've never done a race like that. I've never even done an open water swim before. I've swam at the beach and done a bit of training there, but I've never swam with more than two people. So having hundreds in the water at the same time, trying to navigate through there while I'm trying not to drown, it was a little bit choppy. It was hard stuff. So I'll give you guys an idea of what the race was like in the breakdown. As someone who doesn't swim, the first part, the swim, as I said, was hard in a crowd. Hit the water, trying to get through, people's feet are everywhere. You get to the first buoy and everyone sort of stopped. And rather than swimming, everyone just sort of bobbed around the buoy and then swam off. So that was pretty bizarre and a hard point. There was a few times where I had to stop in the swim and take a breath and get my breath back. And as I kept swimming though, on the way home I got a second wind and I felt good, so I could put the strokes in, but I couldn't even put two strokes together. I was doing one stroke, breath, one stroke, breath. It was exhausting. And I got out of the water and I thought, thank God, I'm out. And as I started to run, my whole chest cavity just squeezed up, all my quads, every muscle of my body just squeezed. I could still move, I felt like I was fine, but I was so tight, and just that exhaustion from the body and being stretched out so far. Anyway, I shuffled up. In this race it was swim, run, ride. So I got to the run transition, had a pretty snappy transition, and it's a trail run, starts along the beach and then across these rocks where hundreds of people are trying to jump across rocks. There was no land. You had to watch where you're stepping. You couldn't look up and run because you've got to watch where your feet are landing each time. So that was hard, but my strategy for my best leg is the running. So my strategy was just push forward and always try to keep at a jog pace, on the rocks. And when we get to somewhere flat, pedal down and then navigate through the harder sections. And when you're hopping over rocks, the best strategy I came up with is once you pick a direction, just put your head down and commit and go that way. And it doesn't matter what rock, whether you have to climb or bounce or zigzag, when you find your path, you just go. There were times where I would stop and think, I should go left and follow that guy or something. But really, so long as you're going forward, everyone struggles, and eventually during those sort of obstacles, there comes a point where everyone hits that point where they have to slow down and navigate a little bit more to get through. So you can catch them if you just pick and stick the path and really watch where your feet go. Try to move quick feet, short, quick steps. Don't try to stride out on the rocks, quick little snappy feet movements to get across them. Got through there, and the other section of the run was trail, so it was all through the bush. The trail was really good, a little bit rocky in some sections, some inclines, up some hills, and I found that once I hit that flat, anything flat, long and straight, I just put the burners down, and I feel like I would have been moving probably 5:10, 5:15 pace along the flat sections, which isn't that quick. But that's where I made up a lot of my time because it was so slow over the rocks. Trudge uphill, and I'll go back to the swim. I finished the 700 meter swim in, I think it was 17 minutes, I think that's pretty good. It's not a record time or anything, but for me, out in the open water, in a crowd, choppy surf, I was pretty happy with getting out of the water under 20 minutes. So that was pretty cool. Then the run, I finished that in, I think, 36 minutes. So it was over 6 minute pace per kilometer. Then hit the mountain bike. And by the time I got to the mountain bike, it's only a small incline, nothing to go uphill. My quads gassed. Nothing was left in the tank. I was just moving my feet the best I could. I had a gel transition and it eventually kicked in. I had a camel back on, so I was getting a bit of water in. And eventually I found my stride, but the same thing as anytime I had to pedal hard on the mountain bike, my quads just didn't have enough in the tank, and I ended up losing a lot of places. Mountain biking is hard because the trails are quite thin, so what would often happen is I would be pedaling, someone would race up behind me, I would have to pull over, let them pass, but they were often in groups of 3 or 4. So boosh, you lose 4 places in one hit, and then it's hard because you've got to get back on the bike, build up momentum. Even if you're only going up a hill slowly, getting off the bike and stopping to let someone pass is, you lose that momentum. It's hard to jump back on and hit it again real hard. So that was pretty annoying that I couldn't do that. But anytime I got to a flat bit again, didn't matter how windy it was. If it was flat, I just powered through there as hard as I could, trying to make up as much time and ground as possible. And same on the downhill bit, I just was going for it. I don't do jumps. I'm not a great mountain biker either, so I never do the jumps. But because I'm reasonably heavy, 94 kilos on the mountain bike, I can get some good speed down the hill. And if I don't sort of brake and navigate these jumps properly, I can launch myself off them without having to try. So it was, I was conscious to hit the jumps at a reasonable speed, so that would slow my thing down. But anything with a lot of burns and straight, rolly sections, I was just smashing it down there as fast as I could. I ended up closing in on a few in the last section, but I still lost probably 20 or 30 spots in that whole part. So I ended up 101st out of everyone, but that includes teams, women, men of all ages, sizes, teens, the whole lot. So I was pretty happy with that. I was kind of hoping for a top 100, but wasn't to be. I came 23rd overall in my category, which is pretty cool. That's about halfway. I think there's 50 something maybe in my category, 50 or 60. So I was pretty happy, middle of the pack is good for my first effort, and, someone who's not rounded, skilled in each area, like running's just my jam, and without that I'd have been in some trouble. So, lots of work on it. Super exciting adventure races. It's great to be outside and do fitness and try something else. A lot of the time stuck in the gym, going through the motions, doing the exercises. This was a real fun thing to do outside and try something different. Recovery wise, my last night, as soon as I got home, I was exhausted. I Netflixed for the whole afternoon, didn't move. I was just knackered. I haven't been that buggered from a workout for ages. I forgot to tell you, I think it took me like an hour and 40 something minutes to finish all 3 legs. So an hour 40 of hard exercise going as, pedal to the metal the whole time. It was, it was pretty exhausting, and it left me wrecked for the rest of the day. Today's the day after. My quads are still a little bit gassed. I've got it's identified massive weaknesses. My left ankle and my left glute, pretty much weak as piss. They need a lot of work to get fixed back up. Shoulders and lats, a little sore from the swimming, but overall I feel like they're good. I wouldn't have trouble using them again today. It's more just my legs. Like if I had to run or do multiple squats today, I'd be in a world of trouble. There's not much happening there. They're still sore. So, but I haven't been that exhausted for a while. It was one of those exhaustions where your body's so physically exhausted that no position was really comfortable on the couch. It was pretty hard to get to sleep because I think my motor was still running so high. But adventure racing, guys, that's how my experience with it. It was super fun. If you're getting bored of the gym or running on treadmills, riding bikes on flat roads, they're awesome fun, and these short course versions are a great starting point. I like fast sort of workouts with a bit of endurance involved, so they're great for me. 700 meter swim, 6K run, and I think a 10 or a 12, maybe a 15K mountain bike. I don't know. It was a long way. It hurt. Super fun. That's my experience.